The coffee mug felt cold against Wyatt Mercer's callous palm. He sat at the kitchen table, watching steam rise from the black liquid while his wife moved around their bend. Oregon home, like a stranger rehearsing familiar steps. Hazel stood at the counter, her back to him. Same routine every morning for 12 years, but something had shifted. The way she held her shoulders. The careful distance she kept between them. "You're up early," he said. "Shift starts at 7. Her voice carried no warmth. She didn't turn around. Wyatt studied her reflection in the kitchen window. New perfume again. 3rd bottle this month. The floral scent hung in the air, foreign and expensive. Her nurse salary didn't stretch to designer fragrances. "Thought your shift started at 8 on Thursdays." They changed the schedule. Quick answer. Too quick. Hazel grabbed her purse from the counter. The leather bag bulged with items that hadn't been there yesterday. Her phone buzzed. She checked it immediately, fingers flying across the screen. Who's texting this early? Work. She tucked the phone away fast. "I need to go." Wyatt stood, his 6-foot frame filling the kitchen doorway. "Hazel." She stopped but didn't face him. "What?" "We need to talk." "About what?" "About whatever's eating at you. Whatever's making you act like I'm some stranger you're stuck living with." Now she turned. Her brown eyes held no recognition, no connection. Like looking at a wall. "I don't know what you mean." "The hell you don't." Hazel's jaw tightened. "I'm late, Wyatt. Can we do this later?" "When?" "You work late, every night. Come home exhausted. Haven't had a real conversation in weeks. That's what happens when you're an adult with responsibilities." The word hit like a slap. Wyatt had been working since he was 16. Lumber mill for 15 years before the downsizing. Now he ran his own construction business, working 70-hour weeks to keep their mortgage current. Right. He stepped aside. "Go save lives." Hazel walked past without another word. The front door slammed behind her. Wyatt poured his coffee down the sink and headed to the garage. His tools waited in neat rows on the pegboard. Order. Control. Things he could fix with his hands. But some fractures ran too deep for tools. 8-year-old Judy sat on the couch, coloring in a book about horses. Her dark hair fell across her face as she worked, tongue poking out in concentration. She looked like Hazel, but she had Wyatt's steady focus. "Dad." Judy didn't look up from her drawing. "Why does Mom say you're just in the way when she's on the phone?" Wyatt's hand froze on his coffee cup. "When did she say that?" "Yesterday. And last week. She talks different when you're not around." "Different how?" Judy finally looked up. Her young face carried worry no 8-year-old should bear. "Happy. Like she used to be." The words cut deeper than any blade. Wyatt set his cup down carefully. "What else does she say?" "She laughs a lot. But not the fake laugh she does with you. The real one." Christ. Even his daughter could see it. "Who's she talking to?" Judy shrugged. "Someone named T. She always says hi T when she answers." Wyatt's jaw clenched. Hazel never mentioned anyone named T. Not once in all their years together. "Can I go to Grandma Mara's today?" Judy asked. "Sure, sweetheart. I'll drop you off after school." Judy smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She spent more time at her grandmother's house lately. Safer there, away from the Cold War between her parents. That afternoon, Wyatt stood in his garage, staring at the workbench. His grandfather's tools hung in perfect order. 3 generations of Mercer men had built their lives with these hands. Fix things. Made them whole. But how do you fix something when you don't know what's broken? He opened his toolbox and pulled out a small device. Audio recorder, motion activated. He bought it for job sites to document progress. Now, he had a different use in mind. Wyatt climbed on a stepladder and attached the recorder to the garage beam, hidden behind a coil of extension cord. The device had a range of 50 feet. It would pick up conversations from the kitchen, the living room, anywhere Hazel might think she had privacy. He hated himself for it. But he needed to know. The truth couldn't be worse than this slow poison eating their marriage. Friday morning came gray and wet. Wyatt loaded his truck while Judy finished breakfast. His thermos of coffee steamed on the dashboard. The radio played country music low. "Ready for school?" he called. Judy bounded out the front door, backpack bouncing. "Can we get donuts after?" "If you promise to eat real food for lunch." "Deal." Wyatt started the engine. The truck rumbled to life, diesel exhaust curling in the cold air. He'd owned this Ford for 8 years, maintained it himself, changed the oil every 3,000 miles, replaced the brake pads 6 months ago. They drove through Ben's quiet streets. Morning commuters headed to jobs in town. Judy chattered about a book report due next week. Normal. Safe. The school sat at the bottom of Long Hill. Wyatt had driven this route hundreds of times. He knew every curve, every stop sign. Halfway down the hill, he pressed the brake pedal. Nothing that he pressed harder. The pedal went to the floor. Dad! Judy sensed something wrong. The truck gained speed. 30 miles per hour. 40. The school parking lot rushed toward them. Kids walking on the sidewalk. Parents dropping off children. Wyatt's mind went cold and sharp. Two choices. Try to steer into the empty field to the right, or hit the oak tree straight ahead. The field might roll the truck. Judy could get thrown. The tree would stop them dead. Hold on, baby. Wyatt cranked the wheel hard left and aimed for the oak. Better to take the impact himself. The passenger side would be safer. The truck hit at 45 miles per hour. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. The world went white, then black. Consciousness came in pieces. Hospital sounds. Machines beeping. The smell of disinfectant. Pain in his ribs like broken glass. Wyatt tried to move. His left leg wouldn't respond. Bandages covered his head. Everything hurt. Judy. His voice came out as a croak, and no answer. The room was dim. Late afternoon light filtered through blinds. How long had he been out? Footsteps in the hallway. Voices discussing patients, medications, shift changes. The normal rhythm of a hospital. The door cracked open. Judy's face appeared, eyes wide with fear. Daddy. She whispered like she was afraid to wake him. Hey, sweetheart. Wyatt tried to smile. You okay? Judy nodded, but tears ran down her cheeks. She looked around nervously, then stepped closer to his bed. Daddy, listen to me. Her voice was urgent, scared. You have to hide. Under the bed. Don't let Mom see you awake yet. What? Please. Just do it. Trust me. The fear in her voice cut through his confusion. Wyatt had taught his daughter to trust her instincts. If she sensed danger, there was danger. Help me. Judy pulled the blanket over his head and arranged the pillows to look like his sleeping form. Then she helped him slide off the mattress onto the cold floor. His broken ribs screamed. His leg was useless, but he stayed quiet. Judy sat in the visitor's chair and picked up a coloring book. Acting normal, footsteps approached. The door opened. How is he? Hazel's voice. The same. Doctor says he might not wake up for days. Wyatt held his breath. Hazel hadn't visited since the accident. Now she sounded almost relieved. And his legs. Bad. The doctor said even if he wakes up, he might not walk again. Silence. Then Hazel's phone buzzed. I need to take this. Hazel stepped into the hallway, but her voice carried. Still unconscious. He's not going to walk again anyway. Once the morphine's upped, we'll have closure. A pause. Someone talking on the other end. I know, but this is better. Cleaner. No one will question it. Another pause. The money will come through. Then we're free. Wyatt's blood turned to ice. Money. Closure. Morphine. She was talking about killing him. The conversation ended. Footsteps returned. I have to go, Hazel told Judy. Visiting hours are almost over. Can I stay a little longer? Fine, but not too late. The door closed. Judy helped Wyatt back into bed, her small hands shaking. What did you hear before I got here? He asked. Mom talking to someone on the phone. She said the accident was perfect, that now everything would work out. Perfect. The brakes had failed at the exact worst moment. But Wyatt had just replaced them. New pads, new fluid. He'd done the work himself. Judy, I need you to listen carefully. Can you do something for me without telling anyone? She nodded. Go home. In my toolbox, there's a small recorder. Bring it to me tomorrow. Can you do that? The one you use for work. That's right. But don't let Mom see it. Dad, are we in trouble? Wyatt pulled his daughter close despite the pain. No, baby. But I need to figure some things out. Judy hugged him tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too. More than anything. After she left, Wyatt stared at the ceiling. His wife had tried to kill him. The woman he'd loved for 12 years. The mother of his child. And she was planning to finish the job. The next evening, Judy smuggled the recorder to him in her backpack. Wyatt checked the file. 3 days of audio. He plugged in earphones and listened. The first day was normal. Hazel on the phone with her mother. Grocery list conversations. Nothing suspicious. Day 2. A male voice in their kitchen. Deep rough. Wyatt didn't recognize it. The brake line's clean, the man said. Looks like mechanical failure. You're sure? I know what I'm doing, Hazel. 15 years in the Marines. I can make anything look like an accident. Wyatt's hand shook. Someone had sabotaged his truck. What about the insurance? Hazel asked. $500,000. Plus the house is paid off if he dies. You'll be set. And if he lives, he won't. Not after tonight. The recording went quiet. Then footsteps. A door closing. Wyatt fast-forwarded to day 3. Yesterday, while he lay unconscious in his hospital bed, Hazel's voice, still in a coma. Doctor thinks he'll need full-time care if he survives. The same male voice. Better if he doesn't. Less complicated. Travis, I can't just. You wanted this, remember? You called me. Said you were done playing house with a man who bores you to death. Travis. The name triggered a memory. Hazel's high school boyfriend. She'd mentioned him once, years ago. Said he joined the military after graduation. I know, Hazel said. But killing him, we're not killing him. We're letting nature take its course. The morphine just helps things along. Wyatt's blood ran cold. They were going to overdose him. Make it look like his injuries were too severe. No one would question it. When? Hazel asked. Tonight. I'll handle it. You just need to be here, playing the grieving wife. The recording ended there. Wyatt pulled out his .4 and struggled to his feet. His left leg buckled, but he forced himself to stand. He had to get out. Had to protect Judy. Had to make them pay. But first, he needed help. Rhiannon Brooks found Wyatt trying to walk down the hospital corridor at 2 in the morning. The young nurse was doing her night rounds when she spotted him gripping the wall for support. Mr. Mercer, you shouldn't be up. I need to leave. Wyatt's voice was rough with pain. You have 3 broken ribs and a fractured femur. You're not going anywhere. Rhiannon helped him back to bed. She was maybe 30, with kind eyes and steady hands. The type of nurse who actually cared about her patients. Something's wrong, Wyatt said. My wife. She's planning something. What do you mean? Wyatt studied her face. Could he trust her? Did he have a choice? Can you check my chart? See if anyone's ordered changes to my medication? Rhiannon hesitated. That's not really. Please. My life might depend on it. Something in his voice convinced her. She pulled up his file on the room computer. Strange. You were flagged for palliative care earlier today. High-dose morphine to manage pain. Palliative care? That's for dying patients. That's what I thought. But the order came from Dr. Harrison. Says you requested it. I've been unconscious for 3 days. How could I request anything? Rhiannon frowned at the screen. The request came through your wife. As next of kin, she has medical power of attorney. Wyatt's jaw clenched. Hazel was using her nursing knowledge to murder him legally. Listen to me, he said. My wife is trying to kill me. Tonight, can you delay that medication? Mr. Mercer, that's a serious accusation. Check the brake fluid on my truck. Someone cut the line. This wasn't an accident. Rhiannon stared at him. You really believe your wife wants you dead? I have proof. Audio recordings. But I need time to get them to the police. The nurse bit her lip. I could delay the morphine. Say there was a supply issue. Buy you maybe 12 hours. That's all I need. If you're lying, I could lose my job. If I'm telling the truth, you'll save my life. Rhiannon nodded slowly. I'll log a medication delay. But you need to stay in this bed. If Dr. Harrison sees you walking around, he'll override my decision. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If your wife is really trying to kill you, 12 hours might not be enough. After she left, Wyatt called the one person he could trust completely. Dad. Judy's sleepy voice answered. Hey, baby. Are you at Grandma's? Yeah. Mom said you were still sleeping. Can I come see you tomorrow? I need you to do something for me first. Remember that iPad you used for school? The one that has Mom's pictures on it. That's right. Can you bring it to me? Don't tell anyone. Not Mom, not Grandma. Just bring it. Okay. Are you feeling better? Much better. I love you, Judy. Love you too, Dad. Wyatt hung up and laid back against the pillows. His ribs screamed with every breath. His leg throbbed, but his mind was clear. Hazel thought she was married to a simple construction worker, someone she could manipulate and discard. She had no idea who she was really dealing with. The Mercer men had been fighters for 3 generations. His grandfather survived the Pacific Theater in World War II. His father came home from Vietnam with scars that never healed but never broke. Wyatt had inherited that same steel core, the ability to endure, to plan, to wait for the right moment to strike back. Hazel was about to learn that some men don't go quietly. The next morning, Judy arrived with her school iPad hidden in her backpack. Wyatt checked the device settings. As he suspected, it was synced to Hazel's iCloud account. Shared photos, messages, everything. "You're a smart girl," he told Judy. "Smarter than your mom thinks." Wyatt scrolled through Hazel's deleted messages. Most were routine work schedules, grocery lists. But one thread made his blood boil. Messages with Travis Riker. Travis. Lines cut clean. Truck goes down the hill Tuesday morning. Hazel. What if he survives? Travis. Then we finish it at the hospital. I know people there. Hazel. How much? Travis. Insurance pays $500K. Plus his savings, the house. We split 50/50. Hazel. What about Judy? Travis. Kid goes to your mother. We disappear. Start fresh in Colorado. Wyatt's hands shook with rage. They were planning to abandon his daughter. Leave her orphaned and alone while they lived off his life insurance. He scrolled further back. The messages went back 6 months. Hazel. I can't stand him touching me anymore. Travis. So leave him. Hazel. And get what? Half of nothing. He's broke, Travis. Business is failing. Travis. Then we make sure you get everything. Hazel. What do you mean? Travis. Accidents happen. Especially to guys who work dangerous jobs. The timeline made sense now. Hazel had been planning this for months. Every cold shoulder, every argument, every excuse to avoid intimacy, it was all part of her strategy. Make him feel isolated. Make their marriage seem broken. So when he died, no one would suspect anything more than a tragic accident. Dad. Judy noticed his expression. What's wrong? Nothing, sweetheart. Just reading some boring work stuff. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. His wife was a cold-blooded killer, and she was using their daughter as bait to keep him unsuspecting. Wyatt scrolled through more messages, looking for anything that might help him. Then he found something that made his heart stop. Travis, what about your brother-in-law? Hazel. Kellen? What about him? Travis. He's been asking questions about your finances. Think something's up? Hazel. He's always been too nosy. Travis. Could be a problem. Hazel. Let me handle Kellen. The messages were dated 3 weeks before Kellen's death. Wyatt's brother had supposedly killed himself, jumped off a bridge outside town. But now, Hazel, it's done. Kellen won't be talking to anyone. Travis. How? Hazel. Told him I'd report him for stalking unless he signed some papers. Made him think Wyatt was suspicious of him. Guilt ate him alive. Travis. And the trust fund? Hazel. Goes to Judy when she turns 18. I control it until then. Wyatt closed his eyes. His brother hadn't killed himself. Hazel had driven him to it. Manipulated him into believing his own family thought he was a predator. Kellen had been asking questions because he cared. Because he'd sensed something wrong. And Hazel had murdered him for it. I need to go to the bathroom, Wyatt told Judy. Want me to help? No, baby. Just stay here and color. Wyatt hobbled to the bathroom and locked the door. Then he called the one person who might have answers. Hallie? It's Wyatt. Hallie Chun had been Kellen's girlfriend for 2 years. She managed a local bar where Kellen spent most of his free time. Wyatt, how are you feeling? I heard about the accident. I'm alive. Listen, I need to ask you about Kellen. Silence. Then what about him? His death. Did he ever mention Hazel? Your wife? Yeah, actually. He was worried about something involving her. Said she'd been asking him weird questions about your finances. What kind of questions? About your savings. Your life insurance. How much the house was worth. Kellen thought it was strange. Said Hazel had never shown interest in money before. Did he tell you anything else? The week before he died, he said Hazel had threatened him. Told him she'd accuse him of stalking her unless he backed off. He was terrified, Wyatt. Said she had pictures of him near your house. made it look like he was watching her. Wyatt's grip tightened on the phone. Pictures. She'd taken photos of him when he came to visit you, but cropped you out of them. Made it look like he was sneaking around, spying on her. Why didn't you tell me this before? I tried. But after the funeral, you were so broken up, and I had no proof. Just Kellen's word against your wife's. Wyatt hung up and returned to his hospital bed. Judy was drawing a picture of horses in a field. Innocent, unaware that her mother was a monster. Dad, when can we go home? Soon, baby. Real soon. But they weren't going home. Home was where the monster lived. Travis Riker owned a survival supply shop 15 miles outside Bend. The kind of place that sold military surplus gear, camping equipment, and items with no legal purpose for civilians. Wyatt had Rhiannon look up Travis's background while she was on break. The information she found painted a clear picture. Discharged from the Marines 8 years ago, she reported. Dishonorable discharge for assault and theft of military property. What kind of property? Weapons. Explosives. The kind of stuff that ends up on the black market. Criminal record. Sealed because of his military service. But I have a friend at the sheriff's department. Says Travis has been suspected in 3 insurance fraud cases. Never enough evidence to prosecute. Perfect. Hazel had chosen an expert. There's something else, Rhiannon said. Your brother's death? Travis was in town that week. Rented a motel room under a false name. Wyatt felt the pieces falling into place. Travis hadn't just helped with the brake lines. He'd been part of Kellen's murder, too. How do you know about the motel? My friend pulled the records. Travis used a credit card that matched his real name. Sloppy mistake. Can your friend make copies of those records? Already done. Rhiannon handed him a folder. Thought you might need them. Wyatt studied the documents. Travis had been in Bend for 4 days before Kellen's death. He'd visited the bridge where Kellen jumped. He'd been at the bar where Kellen spent his last night. He didn't just push Kellen towards suicide, Wyatt said. He made sure it happened. What are you going to do? Get proof. Then make them pay. Be careful, Wyatt. These people have already killed twice. They won't get a third chance. That afternoon, Wyatt called his construction crew foreman. Rick, it's Wyatt. I need a favor. Boss, how you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. Listen, remember those security cameras we installed at the Morrison job? The motion-activated ones? Yeah. I need to check my house. See if there's any footage from last week. What am I looking for? Anyone who doesn't belong there. Especially around my garage. You think someone messed with your truck? I know they did. Can you check tonight? Sure thing, boss. Want me to call the cops if I find something? No, just call me. And Rick, don't mention this to anyone. Especially not Hazel. Got it. Wyatt hung up and stared out the hospital window. Bend looked peaceful from the 4th floor. Quiet streets, normal families going about their lives. None of them knowing that monsters lived among them. His phone buzzed. Text message from Hazel. Doctor says you're improving. I'll visit tonight. She was coming to finish what Travis had started. But this time, Wyatt would be ready. Rick called back at midnight. Boss, you're not going to like this. What did you find? Footage from your garage camera. Shows a guy breaking in last Tuesday. Spent 20 minutes under your truck. Can you see his face? Clear as day. Big guy, military haircut, scar on his left cheek. Want me to email you the video? Send it to my work account. And Rick, make copies. Hide them somewhere safe. Already done. Boss, this guy knew what he was doing. Went straight for the brake lines like he'd done it before. Thanks, Rick. I owe you. Just glad you're alive. This son of a bitch tried to kill you. Wyatt accessed his work email on Judy's iPad. The video was crystal clear. Travis Riker crawling under the truck, cutting the brake line with professional precision. He even wore gloves to avoid fingerprints, but he'd made one mistake. He'd looked directly at the camera when he finished. Like he was proud of his work. Arrogant bastard. Wyatt's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Mr. Mercer? This is Detective Sarah Walsh, Bend Police. I understand you wanted to report suspicious activity regarding your accident. Wyatt frowned. I didn't call the police. Your nurse, Rhiannon Brooks, contacted us. Said you had concerns about your wife. Rhiannon called you. She's worried about your safety. Says you have evidence that your accident was intentional. Wyatt considered hanging up, but he needed allies, and the police would have resources he didn't. Can you come to the hospital? I have something to show you. On my way. 30 minutes later, Detective Walsh arrived. She was younger than Wyatt expected, maybe 35, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Show me what you have, she said. Wyatt played the garage footage on the iPad. Walsh watched silently, her expression growing darker. Do you know this man? Travis Riker, my wife's ex-boyfriend. They've been planning this for months. Wyatt showed her the text messages, the financial records, everything he'd found. Walsh took notes while she listened. Mr. Mercer, this is enough to arrest them both. Attempted murder, conspiracy, insurance fraud. What about my brother's death? That's harder to prove. But if we can get Travis to talk, he might give us something. When do you make the arrests? Tomorrow morning. We'll coordinate with the DA's office. Wyatt shook his head. Too late. Hazel's coming here tonight to finish the job. Then we'll be ready for her. No. If you arrest her now, Travis will disappear. And I want them both to pay for what they did to Kellen. What are you suggesting? Let her try. Record everything. Then you'll have attempted murder in real time. Walsh stared at him. You're talking about using yourself as bait. I'm talking about justice. It's too dangerous. Detective, these people killed my brother and try to murder me in front of my daughter. Dangerous doesn't begin to cover what I'm willing to do. Walsh was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. We'll wire the room. Have backup ready. But if things go sideways, they won't. I know exactly how this is going to end. Wyatt spent the next day preparing. Rhiannon helped him practice looking unconscious while staying alert. Detective Walsh's team installed hidden cameras and microphones throughout the room. Remember, Walsh said, we need her to admit to the murder plot on tape. Don't push too hard or she'll get suspicious. I know what I'm doing, and if Travis shows up, then you get two for the price of one. At 7 p.m., Wyatt took a mild sedative to slow his heart rate and breathing. Not enough to impair his thinking, just enough to look like a man barely clinging to life. Judy had been sent to stay with her grandmother. One less thing to worry about, footsteps in the hallway. Wyatt closed his eyes and steadied his breathing. The door opened. Hazel entered alone. Hello, sweetheart, she said softly. How are you feeling? Wyatt didn't respond. To anyone watching, he looked unconscious. Hazel moved closer to the bed. Her perfume filled the room. The same expensive scent that had been the first sign of her betrayal. The doctor says you might not wake up, she continued. All that trauma to your head. Your poor brain just can't handle it. She sat in the visitor's chair and pulled out her phone. It's me, she said when someone answered. He's worse than yesterday. Doctor thinks it's time. Travis's voice came through clearly. I'm in the parking lot. Give me 5 minutes. What if someone sees you? I'm wearing scrubs. Look like any other hospital worker. The nurses? Night shift's light. Only 2 on this floor. I can handle them. Travis, if we get caught. We won't. This is at Hazel. Tomorrow you're a widow with $500,000 in insurance money. The call ended. Hazel stood and walked to the window. I'm sorry, Wyatt, but you were never enough. Never ambitious. Never willing to take risks. She turned back to his bed. Travis understands me. He sees potential where you saw obstacles. More footsteps in the hallway. The door opened again. Travis Riker entered wearing stolen scrubs and carrying a medical bag. He was bigger than Wyatt had imagined, with dead eyes and hands that moved like a predator's. Anyone see you? Hazel asked. Knocked out the nurse at the station. She'll be unconscious for an hour. You didn't kill her. Didn't need to. She'll think she fainted from working too hard. Travis approached Wyatt's bed and opened the medical bag. Inside were 3 syringes filled with clear liquid. What is that? Hazel asked. Morphine. Enough to stop his heart. But it'll look like his body just gave up fighting. How do you know? Did this twice in Afghanistan. Enemy prisoners who got too mouthy. Made it look like combat stress. Travis lifted the first syringe. This is for Kellen, you piece of shit. He moved toward Wyatt's foreline. That's when Wyatt opened his eyes. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Travis spun around, syringe raised like a weapon. What the hell? Wyatt sat up in bed, his voice strong and clear. Surprise, Travis. I'm a lot harder to kill than you thought. How are you awake? Hazel backed toward the door. Because I switched the sedatives. Wyatt pulled a small recording device from under his pillow. and recorded everything you just said. Travis lunged forward with the syringe. But Wyatt was ready. He grabbed Travis's wrist and twisted hard. The syringe clattered to the floor. The door burst open. Detective Walsh and two uniformed officers entered with guns drawn. "Ben, police." "Nobody move." Travis reached for another syringe. One of the officers tackled him to the ground. The remaining syringes scattered across the tile floor. "Hazel Mercer, you're under arrest for attempted murder," Walsh said, producing handcuffs. "This is insane." Hazel screamed. "He's framing me." "Really?" Walsh held up the recording device. "Because we just heard you plan his murder in real time." Travis thrashed against the officer, holding him down. "This is entrapment." "No," Wyatt said, struggling to his feet. "This is justice." As they led Hazel away, she turned back to Wyatt. "You bastard. You ruined everything. I saved my life. And my daughter's." Travis will never talk. "You can't prove anything about Kellen." Wyatt smiled coldly. "We already have proof. Video footage of Travis at the bridge. Hotel records placing him in town. And now we have him attempting to murder me with the same drug cocktail that would have made Kellen's suicide look natural." The color drained from Hazel's face. "Goodbye, Hazel. Enjoy the next 20 years. The county courthouse in Bend had seen its share of dramatic cases, but the trial of Hazel Mercer and Travis Riker drew crowds like nothing in recent memory. Local news crews lined the steps. Reporters interviewed neighbors who claimed they'd always sensed something off about the couple. Wyatt sat in the front row, his legs still in a brace, but his mind sharp as steel. Judy stayed with her grandmother during the proceedings. No child should have to watch her mother be tried for murder. District Attorney Rebecca Morrison stood before the jury, her opening statement delivered with surgical precision. "Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about greed disguised as love and evil disguised as accident. The defendants didn't just try to murder Wyatt Mercer. They succeeded in murdering his brother Kellen, and they planned to abandon an 8-year-old girl to cover their tracks. The evidence was overwhelming. The garage footage showed Travis sabotaging the truck. The text messages revealed months of planning. The audio recordings captured them attempting murder in real time. But the prosecution's most damaging witness was Travis himself. Faced with the death penalty, he'd agreed to testify against Hazel in exchange for life in prison. The betrayal was complete. "She contacted me first," Travis said from the witness stand. Said she was tired of being married to a loser. Wanted to start fresh with someone who understood her. And you suggested murdering her husband." Morrison asked. "She suggested it. I just provided the expertise." "What about Kellen Mercer?" "He was asking too many questions." Hazel said he suspected something was wrong with their finances. "So you killed him." "We drove him to suicide. Made him think his own family suspected him of being a stalker. Guilt did the rest." Wyatt watched Hazel's face during Travis's testimony. No remorse, no regret, just cold fury at being betrayed by her accomplice. When it was her turn to testify, Hazel tried to paint herself as the victim. "Travis manipulated me," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I was trapped in a loveless marriage. He promised we could be together if Wyatt was gone. But you sent the text messages planning the murder," Morrison countered. "He made me send them. Said he'd hurt Judy if I didn't cooperate. Yet the messages show you were an enthusiastic participant. I was scared. You don't understand what Travis is capable of." Morrison played the hospital recording. Hazel's voice filled the courtroom, cold and calculating. "Doctor thinks it's time. Tomorrow you're a widow with $500,000 in insurance money. Does that sound like a frightened woman being coerced?" Hazel had no answer. The defense tried to argue temporary insanity, claiming Hazel had suffered a breakdown due to marital stress. But the timeline of evidence showed months of careful planning. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. The sentencing hearing took place 3 weeks later. Judge Patricia Hendricks had presided over criminal cases for 20 years, but even she seemed shaken by the scope of the conspiracy. "Mr. Mercer," she said, "would you like to make a victim impact statement?" Wyatt stood slowly, his legs still weak, but his voice strong. "Your Honor, I stood at my brother's grave and blamed myself for not seeing his pain. I held my daughter while she cried for her uncle, not knowing her own mother had murdered him. He turned to face Hazel. She stared straight ahead, refusing to meet his eyes. The woman I married died long before she tried to kill me. The person sitting there is a stranger who stole 12 years of my life and tried to steal the rest. His voice hardened, but she failed, and now she'll spend the next 2 decades learning what real prison feels like. Judge Hendricks nodded. Mrs. Mercer, you have been found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, insurance fraud, and accessory to the wrongful death of Kellen Mercer. The court sentences you to 25 years in state prison without possibility of parole. Hazel finally looked at Wyatt. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Travis received life without parole. His military training had made him an expert killer, but it also made him a flight risk. No prosecutor was willing to take chances with a man who could disappear into the wilderness indefinitely. As they led the defendants away, Wyatt felt something he hadn't experienced in months. Peace, not happiness. That would take time, but the poison had been cut out. The wounds could finally heal. 6 months after the trial, Wyatt received a letter from the insurance company. The settlement check was larger than he'd expected. The life insurance policy Hazel had tried to collect on had been voided due to her criminal conviction. But Wyatt qualified for a wrongful death settlement related to Kellen's case. The money wouldn't bring his brother back, but it would secure Judy's future. Wyatt deposited the check and drove to the cemetery where Kellen was buried. The headstone was simple granite with his brother's name and dates. Below that, Wyatt had added a line, "Beloved brother, devoted uncle, murdered by cowards." "Hey, Kel," Wyatt said, kneeling beside the grave. "They're locked up. Both of them. 25 to life." The wind rustled through the pine trees. Bend was beautiful in late spring, with snow-capped mountains visible in the distance. Kellen had loved this view. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you. Sorry I didn't see what she was doing." Wyatt placed fresh flowers on the grave. "But she's never hurting anyone again. I made sure of that." A car pulled into the cemetery parking lot. Hallie got out, carrying her own bouquet. "Thought I might find you here," she said, approaching the grave. "How did the appeal hearing go?" "Denied. Travis's conviction stands. He'll die in prison." Hallie knelt beside Wyatt and placed her flowers next to his. "Kellen will be proud of you." "I don't know about that." "I do. He always said you were the strongest person he knew. Said you never gave up on anything that mattered." They stood in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Hallie spoke again. "What now?" "Now I raise my daughter. Try to give her a normal life. That's it. That's everything." 2 years later, Wyatt's construction business had grown into the largest operation in Central Oregon. The insurance money had provided startup capital, but his reputation for quality work brought steady contracts. He bought a new house on the other side of town. Same school district for Judy, but no memories of Hazel's betrayal. The place was smaller but felt more like home than the house he'd shared with a killer. Judy was 10 now, bright and resilient despite everything she'd endured. She rarely mentioned her mother, but she'd started seeing a therapist who helped her process the trauma. "Dad," Judy looked up from her homework. "Can Hallie come to my school play next week?" Hallie had become part of their lives gradually, naturally. Not as Wyatt's girlfriend, he wasn't ready for that. Might never be, but as Judy's honorary aunt and his trusted friend. "If she wants to, why don't you call and ask her?" "Already did." She said yes. Wyatt smiled. His daughter was learning to build relationships based on trust and honesty. Everything Hazel had never been. The doorbell rang. Detective Walsh stood on the porch, holding an envelope. "Wyatt, I have news about Hazel." "What now?" "She was found dead in her cell this morning. Apparent suicide." Wyatt felt nothing. No satisfaction, no grief. Just emptiness where his wife used to be. "How?" "Overdose. Saved up her medication for weeks." Walsh handed him the envelope. "She left this for you." Wyatt opened it. 3 words in Hazel's handwriting. "You won, bastard." He crumpled the note and threw it in the trash. "Any questions for the investigation?" Walsh asked. "No. She made her choice 2 years ago." After Walsh left, Judy came to the kitchen. "Was that about Mom?" "Yes." "Is she dead?" Wyatt knelt to his daughter's level. "Yes. She died in prison." Judy was quiet for a long moment. Then good. The word surprised Wyatt. Judy, she tried to kill you, Dad. She killed Uncle Kellen. I'm glad she's dead. Wyatt pulled his daughter close. Don't carry that anger, baby. It'll poison you just like it poisoned her. Then what should I feel? Nothing. She doesn't deserve any of our emotions anymore. That night, Wyatt sat on his back porch, watching stars emerge over the mountains. The house was quiet. Judy slept peacefully in her room. No more secrets. No more lies. His phone buzzed. Text from Hallie. Heard about Hazel. You okay? Wyatt typed back. Better than okay. Free. The final twist. The next morning, Wyatt received a call from the insurance company's fraud investigation unit. Mr. Mercer, we have some interesting news about your wife's life insurance policy. What about it? It was canceled 5 months before your accident. Unpaid premiums. If she'd succeeded in killing you, she wouldn't have received a penny. Wyatt almost laughed. Are you serious? Completely. She would have murdered you for nothing. After hanging up, Wyatt told Judy the news. His daughter shook her head in amazement. She was really stupid, wasn't she? Evil people usually are, sweetheart. They get so focused on hurting others, they stop thinking clearly. Is that why she got caught? That's exactly why she got caught. 3 years after the trial, Wyatt stood in the audience of Judy's middle school auditorium. She was receiving an award for her essay titled, "The Strongest Person I Know." The essay was about him. Hallie sat beside him, her presence comfortable and steady. They'd grown closer over the years, but Wyatt had learned not to rush into anything. Trust came slowly now. Love came even slower, but it was coming that Judy's voice carried clearly through the auditorium as she read her essay. My dad doesn't cry, but I've seen him hold everything together with silence. He never left me, even when someone tried to take him away. He taught me that strength isn't about fighting. It's about protecting the people you love, no matter what it costs. Wyatt felt his throat tighten. His daughter had learned to see past the surface, to recognize real character. She would never be fooled by someone like Hazel. After the ceremony, the three of them went out for ice cream. Judy chattered about her plans for high school, her dreams of becoming a veterinarian. Normal dreams for a normal kid. Dad, Judy asked as they walked to the car. Do you ever miss her? Who? Mom. Wyatt considered the question seriously. I miss who I thought she was. But that person never really existed. Do you hate her? No. Hate takes too much energy. I'd rather spend that energy on you. Judy smiled and took his hand. Good, because I need all your energy for driving me to soccer practice tomorrow. Wyatt laughed. The sound surprised him. When had he started laughing again? Deal, he said, but you're doing the dishes tonight. That's not fair. Life's not fair, kiddo. But that doesn't mean we stop trying to make it better. As they drove home through Ben's quiet streets, Wyatt realized something. He was happy. Not the shallow happiness he'd mistaken for contentment during his marriage, but deep satisfaction that came from building something real that he had his daughter. He had his work. He had friends who'd proven their loyalty when it mattered that he had survived. And in surviving, he'd learned the difference between existing and living. The house Hazel had tried to kill him for was gone, sold to strangers. The insurance money she'd coveted was funding Judy's college account and Kellen's memorial scholarship. But most importantly, the silence that had nearly destroyed his family was gone. In its place was honest conversation, shared laughter, and the kind of love that couldn't be faked or manipulated. Wyatt Mercer had learned that some fractures never heal. But the strongest structures are often built on solid foundations, not perfect ones. And he was building something that would last.